Hello friends, what's up? Today I'm back with a new video which is based on survival analysis and how actually the analysis is done on our program. So first of all, moving onwards to the real analysis, so we will first understand what is survival analysis. Survival analysis is the branch of statistics that deals with analyzing the expected duration of time until the event of interest occurs. So that event of interest could be anything. So basically there are different types of events. So namely I could name them as first is relapse, second is progression, third is death. So depending upon our objective of study. So it could be death or it could be failure in mechanical systems. So in cancer cancer studies, it is related to time survival analysis. In sociology, it is related to event history analysis, and in engineering, it deals with failure system analysis, depending upon the objective of our study. So basically, in cancer related to oncological studies, we could namely define two events. First is time to death, and second is relapse time. So, firstly, what is survival time? Before actually understanding what is relapse, we will first understand what is survival time. The survival time is it's a point from the response of treatment to the occurrence of the actual event of our interest. So relapse means the time from response to the treatment to the recurrence of the disease. It is called as relapse, or it's also called as disease-free survival time. Okay, so there are many situations we want for a possible outcome, only a particular outcome, like how long does it take for a particular couple to conceive, or there are many situations where the survival is the main issue. So there the variable of our interest could be the length of the length that elapses before the event of interest occurs. So, but in such clinical trials, in such studies, we come across some situations where we fail to record the observations for some people, or we lost the information about that people. So this could be mainly due to the three reasons. First is the patient was non-cooperative. He second is he left the study in between because he had some allergy to that treatment, or he found the treatment very unusual. And third is it's in accordance with this second point only, that the patient developed a new uh, like a new disease or a new circumstance which allowed that patient, or which allowed that patient to leave the study in between, or we had to cancel the follow-up for such people. So these are called as censored observations. So what is censored? What are censored observations? The observations where we lost the information about certain people, about the people who to whom we had recruited in our study. Okay. So, but that needn't to worry. We have techniques like Kaplan-Meier test to analyze such censored observations also, and there is no harm to include such censored observations in our data analysis also. So moving on to the types of censoring, we have two types of censoring: point censoring and interval censoring. So point censoring. So point censoring, it's also called as right censoring. Firstly, I will explain about right censoring. So basically, let me give you one example. Consider three patients: patient A, patient B, and patient C. Don't go according to this diagram. I'm just giving you one example randomly. Just analyze it in your mind. So patient A, so firstly, suppose our study duration was of 5 years. Firstly, T naught, that's the first year, and T2 is the second, means fifth year. So patient A was recruited in the study and he died between this first year to the fifth year, means the beginning of the study to the end of the study. Okay. So now moving on to the patient B. What happened to patient B? He survived beyond the fifth year. Okay, he survived beyond the fifth year. And about talking about patients, he left the study in between. He didn't come for the follow-up due to his reasons, due to his personal reasons. We don't know, but he left in between. So now we can say that the patient is not censored because you here in this study we had defined the event of interest as death. So he achieved that event of interest and he is non-censored. But whereas patient B and patient C are censored because patient B survived beyond the fifth year, beyond the study plan, and patient C left the footprint. So we don't have information whether they are alive or not. Okay. So here from this picture we can tell that this vertical two lines, the first vertical line is beginning of study and the second vertical line is the ending of study. So we can say that B and C are right censored. So now moving on to the left censoring. Left censoring, let me give an example of left censoring. Uh, Suppose you had you had conducted a study on pregnancy duration and you had a benchmark, like you had an end mark of 250 days. Okay, so while surveying, you found out some women who had already had the babies. You know that they had babies before 250 days, but you don't know exactly when. So it is called as left censoring. So you can see from this picture, the F is left censored. Okay, so we did not record the time before we failed to record the time before an event occurred actually. That is called as left censoring. Now moving on to interval censoring, the best example I can give about the virus testing. So firstly, if I had recruited one person, he tested negative at T naught. At time T naught, I uh, conducted a test and he tested negative. But and at T1, after few days at T1, I again conducted the test and he tested positive. So we actually don't know when he got exposure to the disease or to the virus. We only know that between T0 and T1 he got exposed to disease. So that is called interval censoring. So we have intervals T0, T1, T2, T3, T4. So this is a whole overview of what I explained. So you can see over here, this is right sensor. It went beyond this end of study. This is also right sensor. He died. Yes, he achieved the event of interest, whatever you want to say, but we don't know when. Okay, and this is left censored and this is not censored because he achieved the event of interest within the study. So there are methods for analysis. If our scale of measurement of different variables is categorical or nominal, then we can use Kaplan-Meier or actual test. Or if it is scale, then we can go for Cox proportional hazard model where we can make use of covariates or expected variables to explain the variation in survival. Also, we have log rank test also. The log rank test to compare the survival curves of two groups. Like the null hypothesis for the log rank test is there is no significant difference between the survival curves of two groups versus there is a significant difference between the survival curves of two groups. Okay. So now we will move on to our programming. Okay. Okay, so we have installed the packages. So what packages do we need? bplat, survminer, survival, and ggplot2. And as you know, after installing the packages, you need to load the libraries also. So we will load our data set on which we will be working for. So that is all. We will just take an object and ovarian data set. Okay, I'll run this. Again O. Okay, so I have loaded the data set about ovarian. So we will just find the glimpse of this O. I've already stored it, or you can write ovarian also, no problem, or you can write O also. So you can see over here. So firstly, for actually going for analysis, you just need to understand what this data set is about. So we write help of ovarian. So you'll find out this is a survival is a randomized trial comparing two treatments for ovarian cancer. So the true time is survival of censoring time. It proves that censoring status, whether it is censored or not, survival times. It's the age in years. The residue, this is the regression of tumors. If it's present 1, it's equal to no, it's equal to yes. Then R is the treatment groups, it's a treatment regimens. So it's also given in the form of 1 to 1 2. So we can just relate it to the treatment A or treatment B, or one for control or one for placebo. Anything you can just take into consideration. and this is ECOGPS. This ECOG is the Eastern Cooperative Oncology Group. So it's 5 point scale, ranges from 0 to 5, and it's used for functional status. It's a prognostic tool. Prognostic means it is used to predict the likeliness of the certain disease. So just write over here. ECOG, it's a Eastern Cooperative Oncology Group. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to convert this into factor. Whatever this residual disease, this treatment regimens, and this three. So how will you do this? You will do it in this ovarian. This is used for columns. Dollar sign. So first we will take treatment regimens and we'll convert it into factor. So again you have to write ovarian, dollar sign, Rx. So here you have levels of 1 to 1 to. Okay, so levels combination of 1 2, and now we need to label this combination of so the treatment, you can just write treatment A, then write control group also, or please say anything you can do. So run this and again run this. So this is again now same for ovarian, dollar sign, residual, again factor, ovarian, residual. Labels are again the residuals are 1 and 2. So one is for no and it's for yes. Write labels. It's for no. The same you have to do it for the performance status. Ovarian. So it's given 1 is better, and so we'll write 1 is good and 2 is for bad. Then write levels. It's also given in the form of 1 and 2. And labels. It's for good. It's for bad. Okay. So before actually moving on, so we have converted this into factors because these are the future covariates we'll be using it's in Cox proportional hazard models. So now afterwards what we will do before actual analysis of the time, we will just make a visualization, prior visualization using a histogram of age, ovarian, dollar sign age. What we'll check it out. Okay, so this basically indicates it's bimodal. So data is bimodal as you can see from the picture. So the bimodal indicates a cutoff of 50 years. So what we'll do, we'll create a new variable like ovarian. So for creating a new variable and what we need to concatenate the original dataset, what we will do, we will do percent greater than percent mutate. We create that variable name age group. We'll write if else So if the age is greater than or equal to 50, then he is old, or else he is young. So run it. Okay. It's an error over here. Mutate age group. Else. Okay. Wait, the error is coming. 1 second. Okay, so guys, the problem here happened is that I hadn't installed the package properly, because this mutate function is derived from the dplyr package. So I have created one new variable. Mutate is to add a new variable to the dataset. So I have just created a variable. Age group is equal to if else, if age group is greater than or equal to 50 and it's old, otherwise it is young. As we saw that the histogram, we had this is bimodal distribution and we had the cutoff of 50 years. So we'll just ovarian. I just created a variable ovarian. Okay, so the new variable is created. And again same for the rest of the variables. So this is also the one of the covariate. I will just convert it into factor, like how I converted the previous variables. Factor covariant age. Okay, so now comes the fitting part. So using Kaplan Meier test, so right over here Kaplan Meier survival. Oh, okay, so how to do it? I will just store it in one object. Let's suppose it is S. Write S, capital S, serve. Okay, so I haven't loaded the package properly, so do not install the package properly. So it's serve minor. Okay, so library. Let me see if it's coming or not. Okay, it's not coming. Wait, let me do it properly. It's not coming. Load the library. Survive. What do we do? Time. So it's time. Say a few time of survival time. It's okay. Ovarian $sign few time. And what is the event? It's the status. So status $sign for stat. Okay, so now we will run this. S, again run it. Okay, so the plus signs indicate the sensor observations. What we will do now, we fit the model now. Fit one So serve it. What we will do is that whatever we have uh, done in this serve function, that object we will write over here, okay, and then again tilde sign, and we will do it with respect to Rx. It's a treatment regimen, and data is ovarian. Again fit one. Okay, so this is, so you can plot the graph also. So no db serve that it is available in server minor only. GG serve, it's not loading it. Let's check it. Come on now. Yes. GG serve plot. We'll write fit one. Data is ovarian, and now p val is true. Okay, so we'll check. Okay, so this is the Kaplan-Meier curve. So let me explain to this. So the blue, yes. So that we have p-value 0.3. Okay, so before going to that, the x-axis indicates the time, the serial time. Okay, and the y-axis, it includes the overall survival in terms of percentages. So the y-axis means it's the number, it's a percentage of people who haven't experienced the event of interest. So you can just check that at the zero time point, there are 100% people who haven't experienced the event of interest. But as you can see for the treatment B, so for treatment B, they started experiencing uh, afterwards, and for treatment A, they started experiencing a little bit first. So see, so this, as you go from top to right, as you go from left to right this way, so these drops, these drop downs, you can check these drop downs, they include these people are started, actually started experiencing the event of interest. Okay, so this is the interpretation of this. And p is equal to 0.3, this includes the log rank test, means this is significant. If we take the level of significance of 0.05, so 0.3 is greater than 0.05, means the survival curves of two groups, they actually differ. So as I had said about the log rank test, the null hypothesis is the survival curves of two groups, they do not differ versus they differ. So as p value is greater than um, as p value is greater than 0.042505, so it is significant. It's not significant actually. And now again we will do fit 2. Again we will do it with serve. Okay, serve fit. Okay, serve fit. Now what we will do is s tilde sign, and we do it residual. This is data is ovarian, fit 2. Okay, so again we will do gg serve plot fit 2. Data is ovarian and p val is true. Okay, so now you can see the, if you compare both the diagrams, it's little bit different, because you can see in this terms of residuals they diverge a little bit. So here you can see that the patients with positive residual disease have a worse prognosis than the patients without residual disease. So this is the interpretation of this. So you can check over here, the patients with residual disease, they have worse prognosis, because you can see the drop downs, they are coming very early compared to who don't have residual disease. So your p-value 0.057, which is also greater than 0.05. Okay. So now what I will do is, we'll do now we will define the hazard ratio. Okay, so before doing for hazard ratio, we will plot Cox proportional model. So this is basically used to consider the covariates. You can check the covariates. You can use the Cox pH command. You just write A Cox pH. Okay, so S, and again tilde. You will write residual. This is plus Rx plus H group plus ECOG. Data is, so you have to include all the covariants. Data is covariant A. So this is the interpretation. Now you can also check the summary of for the same. So this is the summary. So now we will use one command as ggforest of A and data of ovarian. So we'll get what is ggforest does. Okay, let's just zoom it. So ggforest is used to derive the hazard ratios, which is calculated overall from all the covariates. So you can just check the hazard ratio. If the hazard ratio is less than 1, then there is less likeliness of dying, and if the hazard ratio is greater than 1, then there are more chances of dying. Okay, increased risk of it. Now you can check over here, the hazard ratio is okay, wait. So for treatment regimens, this hazard ratio is 0.25, which is less than 1. So the patients who have received the treatment B have less risk of dying with respect to A, because A is referred to as reference category. So this is the interpretation of this. Okay, this is for this thing. So okay guys, this is for all today, the survival analysis. You can deal with many datasets. There are many datasets available on Kaggle also. So thank you.